Okay, so this is a story that sounds completely made up, but I promise you it's 100% real. It's about pitting something incredibly small against something, well, overwhelmingly massive. It honestly sounds more like the setup to a joke than a real adventure, but it happened. I mean, right off the bat, this quote from the guy behind it all just captures the beautiful absurdity of the whole mission. Just picture it. You're out there, on the water, in a proper boat, and your entire job for the day is to pilot this little plastic toy across a superhighway for giant ships. It's an amazing image, and it perfectly sets the stage. And let's be clear, this was not just a casual trip to the local pond. Nope. This was a full-on attempt to conquer one of the world's most difficult waterways with something you could buy at a toy store. It's an epic, almost ridiculous kind of quest. And here you can really see the sheer mismatch in scale. On one side, you've got our contender, a 20-pound remote-controlled boat. And on the other, its opponent, the English Channel. It's not just a big body of water. It's a freeway for some of the biggest ships on the planet. The odds here don't just feel long, they seem completely impossible. So how in the world do you get a kid's toy ready for a challenge like this? You can't just take it out of the box, plop it in the water, and hope for the best. This whole thing required some, let's just call it, unconventional engineering. First things first, they got together what they called a crack team of engineers. I can only imagine that was a pretty funny phone call to make. Then came their big idea, adding something called poo pipes to help it float. And finally, they had to give the steering and navigation a serious upgrade if they wanted any chance of controlling this thing from a distance. And the real genius here is just how simple it is. These poo pipes aren't some fancy, high-tech marine gear. They're literally just plastic drainage pipes strapped right onto the boat to give it the stability it so desperately needed. It's a ridiculous name for sure, but a brilliantly practical solution. So, with the boat now, let's say, upgraded, the first real test could begin. See, this isn't an empty ocean. It's basically a floating traffic jam of giants, and our little boat had to cut right through the middle of it. And when we say giants, we are not kidding. The toy boat had to dodge cargo ships that were 140 meters long. To put that into perspective, that is significantly longer than a professional football field. Just try to imagine steering a bathtub toy around a floating skyscraper. So, seriously, how on earth do you even do that? You're sitting in a support boat, maybe pretty far away, trying to pilot this tiny little speck of plastic around a metal beast that could swallow it whole and not even notice. It's not even just about avoiding a direct hit. If that little boat got caught in a cargo ship's wake, it would be like throwing it into a washing machine. Then there's the very real risk of just losing sight of it, or having all the radio signals from those massive ships mess with your remote control. Any one of those things and the mission is over. Instantly. But hey, let's say you manage to dodge all the man-made dangers. You still have to deal with the channel itself. And as the journey went on, the sea basically decided to stop watching from the sidelines and get in on the action. The day started out deceptively easy, calm waters. But then, disaster almost struck. The steering system just failed, leaving the boat completely vulnerable. And just as they were getting close to France, the weather turned, throwing what were described as massive waves at their little boat. This was basically the final boss battle. So after all of that, the bizarre engineering, the near disasters with cargo ships, the battle against the elements, you really have to ask the big question. What was the point? Why go through all this trouble for a 20-pound toy? And the answer is almost as absurd as the journey itself. The grand, epic quest across one of the world's most dangerous shipping lanes was all so they could reach a remote island and have a party. That's it. No world record attempts, no scientific purpose, just a party. The guy who masterminded this whole thing called it a silly pilgrimage. And that's really the perfect description, isn't it? It totally acknowledges how ridiculous the goal was, but it also captures the dedication, the pilgrimage that it took to get there. It wasn't about the destination being important. It was about the commitment to just reaching it, for no other reason than to see if it could be done. And this whole thing just leaves us with a really fascinating thought. We often think that great journeys need to have some profound or noble purpose. But what if they don't? When the destination is intentionally absurd, does that make the journey, the ingenuity, the perseverance, the sheer fun of it all, the only thing that really matters? It's something to think about.